Up in the top, carried my clothes bag. And the Snow Peak 600 milliliter double wall cup. I love this cup. It's a little heavier than a single wall, but it keeps your drinks. I could get up in the morning and make coffee, hot chocolate, and it would still be warm after I got everything packed up, 45 minutes later. So I love this cup. The clothes bags, Sea to Summit event. It's got this special bottom that's supposed to lets air out, so it's just easy to compress. I had just a regular dry bag to start with, but I upgraded to this one after I got a Puffy, so I could compress everything down. Had a wool beanie. Then the wool underwear, top and bottom. This is the minus 33. I bought these in Harper's Ferry, and I was so glad I did. These are awesome. Kept you warm. They were soft, they're comfortable. I hiked in them a lot of times, and my outer shirt would be soaked with sweat, and this would just be slightly damp, and then it would dry shortly after taking the top shirt off. So I had that top and bottom minus 33. And once it got colder, my wife sent these Sherpa lined fuzzy socks I used to sleep in. It kept my feet nice and warm. I didn't have cold feet after getting these. The Puffy's the biggest thing. I bought this in Lincoln, New Hampshire at an outfitter. It was like one of the last year's sales, so I got it really discounted. This is Scott Sports Puffy. Got this 3M, not down, it's got the 3M fake down stuff in it. It's a very warm jacket. It's not super heavy, but it's not as light as a backpacker Puffy. But a lot of hikers I see in the hostel wearing their backpacking Puffy. And I'd be thinking if I put mine on, I'd be on fire. So the backpacking Puffy, from my experience, they don't really keep you that warm. I don't know, there's so many different brands. So I may try to get one later that's lighter. But this one, anytime it was in the low 20s or less and high winds, I could put this on and I'd be warm. I had these Bridgedale waterproof socks. Awesome investment. Carried an extra darn tough sock. That way if my socks did get wet and it's a nice day the next day, I could put on dry socks. Had a Patagonia Capilene shirt. I bought this to hike in initially, but then the pack was wearing the writing off. There's actually a spot. Probably can't see it. It was starting to chafe, so it burned a hole through it. So that became my in-town shirt at a hostel. Carried an extra pair of Duluth butt-naked underwear. So when I got to a hostel, I had my own clean underwear and my own clean shirt. And then I would either wear my rain pants, or if they had loaner clothes, I'd get a pair of shorts across. And then there's a 24-inch by 24-inch cotton bandana. I got these picked them out of a hiker box at Angel's Rest Hiker Hostel. They're the rubber ice spikes that just slip over your shoe. I never needed these, but if I had stayed on the trail, I am pretty certain I would have needed these. I did deal with some snow and stuff, but never to the point where it got froze and turned to ice. But it was definitely coming. If I'd have stayed on the trail for the 450 miles left, yeah, I would have definitely had to have them. And on this side, beside the bare can, was my electronics. I carried an Anchor 28,000 milliamp hour battery bank. Like I said, this was too much, even for me making videos, and yeah, I never used like half of this. So keep that in mind if you're getting gear, even if you're vlogging your hike. You don't have to have the big one. And then in a Ziploc bag is just my cables. There's the charger for the batteries for the camera, the cables. And I had this Anchor USB. It looks big, bulky, and too much, but when you go like Penmar Park and there's just one outlet and 5 hikers are trying to use it, being able to plug that in, share a USB with the person that just has their single one plugged in already, and charge multiple, so I would carry that again. And then this was my kind of like toiletries, I guess. The bag was a little bigger than what I needed, but there was a few times where I overbought on food. My bear can was full, and I still had to hang some food at night. So I would use this bag to hang that extra, couple extra Ziplocs. I had a fire starting kit with a lighter, some dryer length, and a sewing kit. Had some needle and thread. An extra COVID mask, a tin of beard balm, and then this has toothbrush, a little bottle of Dr. Bronner's, and some Q-tips, and a small bottle of lotion. I got it out of a hotel. I was using it on my feet. I would have probably thrown it away shortly. I wasn't using it anymore, so that was it for that. I carried the Bear Vault BV500. Carried it the entire way. Would have carried it the rest of the way. Went hiking tomorrow, I'd carry it again. I'm never hanging a food bag. I know I'm never going to hang a food bag. I'm too lazy to hang. The last thing I want to do at the end of the day is try to find that perfect limb that doesn't exist. I just take this thing, set it over there, forget about it. My Pop-Tarts stayed Pop-Tarts, my crackers stayed crackers. Yeah, it weighs 2 pounds, whatever. I keep my hairbrush in here, so the bristles didn't get squished. I have my cook kit. This is a Snow Peak 1500, I think, so it held like 1.5 liters. And then, I'm going to do a separate review on this, so I'm not going to break it all down, but I had, a medium canister, pot scraper, and it was a Mighty Mo stove, Jetboil Mighty Mo or Mini Mo stove. I like having a bigger cook pot so that I don't boil it over. The little ones are just a pain in my butt, so I just went with a bigger. It's titanium, so it's really light. I use the bag for my hammock straps to hold my trowel and my tent stakes. See, I have 10 tent stakes for my tarp. They're the MSR groundhogs. And this one here is the only one that ever got bent. I don't know if you can see that. And it got bent in Virginia of all places. The ground there for a couple days was just like gravel. Trying to press these in the dirt was a nightmare. And then the Deuce cat hole trowel. It works, sort of, kind of. You can scratch something out. But that dirt, I mean, short of a full-size shovel and a mattock, it's almost impossible to dig the perfect cat hole. But at least with a trowel, you can do the best you can. TP first aid kit. Not very big, doesn't have a whole bunch in it. There's a couple of things, like this chafe stuff. I was probably thinking about getting rid of it. I hadn't had a need for it really. I know some people have bad problems with chafing, but I did not. And then the Sea to Summit bucket. I think this thing weighs 3 ounces. In the summertime, I'd fill it up with water, that extra bandana I'd hang on the end of my hammock, and wipe the sweat and stuff off. And it's amazing how much cooler you'll be when you go to bed after wiping down the end of the night with some cold creek roll. Well, once winter set in and it got cold, I didn't use that anymore. So probably the entire state of Virginia, 500 miles, I did not use it. So that's more of a summer weather thing. Send it home when it comes winter time. On this side, I kept my rain jacket. This is just an REI rain jacket. My marmot, the stuff on the inside, it failed. I'd had the thing for years. So I picked this up in Washington, D.C. when I came back down from Maine to Harper's Ferry. I still have my marmot precip rain pants. I use these more for wind than I did rain, but with the rain pack cover on, the water would come down the pack cover, the back of it, under, and then like drip down through my pants. So this would keep my shorts dry if it was really raining. And then I had a REI Duck's Back hat cover. A lot of people online say they do not use a pack cover. But in my experience, probably 96% of all the hikers on the trail this year all had pack covers. There's very few hikers that did not have pack covers. There is a hole somewhere right in here where it caught on some stuff, but it's not to keep your pack completely dry. It just, your pack gets maybe a little damp. The difference with a rain cover and without, with these ospreys, they soak up a lot of water. If you can keep somewhat dry, it's a lot lighter. I mean, they get heavy when the entire pack gets soaked. Well, typically with that and my umbrella, the hip belt pockets and maybe a little bit past it would get wet. The rest of the pack stayed completely dry. I carried the Thermarest Z-Lite sleeping pad. I use this mainly to put on the ground under my hammock. I can throw stuff on it, or it wasn't just throwing it in the dirt. and it was something nice to walk on when you get up out of your hammock and you need to get something out of your pack. I always had my pack hanging on my hammock. So I walked on it most of the time, but there were several times I used it to sleep in a shelter. I couldn't sleep on it to start with, most uncomfortable thing ever, but after losing 60 pounds, I could sleep on it. Wasn't that bad. So. In this bottom I had my hammock suspension strap. I kept them in this mesh bag so that the sap and stuff on the strap wouldn't be sticking to everything in my pack. They're just basically a buckle, cinch buckle type setup, strapped to Dyneema. They're fairly lightweight. And they're 15 feet each, so I never had trees too far apart or trees too big. Worked very good. Liked them a lot. But they're the Superior Gear. That's the name of them. Superior Gear straps. And I'm not going to take it all out. On the bottom is another event dry bag. My hammock, I had the hike and bike hammock compatible 0-degree bag, and an E&O bug net that went around all that. And I just had all that in that one bag, dry bag. So I never had a wet sleeping bag. The pack is Osprey Atmos AG65. I had to pick this pack up in Connecticut because when I started with losing weight, it was a large suspension, and it was a good where it didn't fit anymore. So this one has well over 1,000 miles on it, and practically still looks brand new. So it has many, many miles of hikes left, and this thing carried great. This pack, the weight of all this gear at the Greyhound station was 48 pounds, and that was with 1 quart of water, and I have enough food for maybe a day. So typically I was hauling somewhere in the neighborhood of, with a fresh resupply, of the high 50s. I know sometimes it got into the 60s. I got over 60 pounds, man. I could feel that. But pretty much 55 pounds and under was comfortable for me. 50 or under is the most comfortable, so I'm going to do some changing. The hopes was that some of my older gear would just wear out and die, but it lasted. So I'm going to make some changes because 50 pounds and under for me is ideal. So I want to try to get my pack weight down to around 35 without food or water. But I could carry the weight, so I'm not complaining. Everybody makes fun of me constantly about my pack being too heavy. It wasn't for me. If it's too heavy for you, then yes, you got to do what you got to do to make it weight for you. But that's pretty much it. That was all I had for. That was my world for pretty much the last 500 miles. Nothing really changed. That's what I had. So if you got any questions, just put them in the comments below, and I'll come out with some videos on individual items like my hammock setup and stuff like that, my tarp, here in the near future. Thanks for watching.